Hello friends, welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. My name is Brittany. On this channel I share my stupid opinions about the books I've been reading. Today's book is my March 2024 book of the month, which was Amy Tintera's adult debut, Listen for the Lie. A thriller, or if you're my Facebook ads, a comedic thriller that I did not laugh at. This book averages 4.25 on Goodreads with around 20,000 ratings at this point, and 4.3 on the storygraph. If I can find any content warnings, they will as always be right over here. For the synopsis, I am going to be so honest with you, a lot has been happening in my life. I did not paraphrase it, so I'm just going to read what Goodreads has to say for this one. What if you thought you unalived your bestie? And what if everybody else in your town thought so too? And what if the truth doesn't matter? After Lucy's found wandering the streets covered in her bestie's blood, everyone thinks she is an unaliver. Lucy and Savvy were the golden girls of their small Texas town. Pretty, smart, and enviable. Lucy married her dream guy with a big ring and an even bigger house. Savvy was the social butterfly loved by all, and if you believe the rumors, especially loved by the men. It's been 5 years since that terrible night, a night Lucy can't remember, and she has since moved to Los Angeles in order to start a new life. Now, the phenomenally huge hit true crime podcast Listen for the Lie and its too good-looking host Ben Owens have decided to investigate Savvy's unaliving for the show's second season. Lucy is then forced to return to a place she never thought she'd set foot back in to help solve the unaliving of her best friend, even if she's the one who did it. I'm gonna be so upfront with you. I can see why people liked this book. I'm also gonna be so upfront with you. I need to start reading synopsises of books before I get into them, because I feel like if I would have read that line and its too good-looking host, I could have predicted where this book was going. But we're gonna go through everything. Here's the CAWPILE of it all. We are centering around the unaliving of Savvy. Her last name is Harper, Savannah Harper. Lucy's last name, for the absolute life of me, I cannot remember. It's fine. We also have Ben Owens, the host of the hit true crime podcast Listen for the Lie, and everybody is dead set on finding out what happened to Savannah. In this book, I would consider the main characters to be Lucy and Ben. I found both of them to be absolutely insufferable because Ben is a cocky. And the reason I think that he is so cocky is not warranted. He is arrogant because he's good looking, number one. But number two, he thinks that he's going to be able to figure out what happened to Savannah because he solved one unsolved mystery. One. Sir, one unsolved mystery does not a detective make. I didn't like him. I thought that he was terrible. Lucy is painted by the author as this tough as nails kind of hard ass punching people in the face in high school. And I love that for her, but she didn't present as tough as she was painted. We get a lot of Lucy's internal monologue in this book, and I just didn't find her to be as much of a hard ass as I think the author was going for. Found that the characters lacked some depth that would have allowed me to connect to them more. I did find myself falling into the trap that the author was laying in regards to who actually unalived Savannah. But before the reveal, I kind of figured out where the book was going. I think that my problem is that this book relied heavily on some overused character tropes. One way or another, I didn't find myself actually caring what happened. No one caught my eye as having any sort of redeemable qualities, which I always find very disappointing because I do like to connect to the characters and have them have some sort of redeeming quality, which I felt lacked in this book. With that being said, I didn't think that this was the absolute worst for characters. I didn't think that it was the best. I liked Savvy's character because we get some flashbacks of Savvy. I liked her, but other than that, I just wasn't having a great time with the characters, so I gave it a 7 out of 10. Literally the only thing of note for this, for the atmosphere, is that it's set in Texas and it's hot as balls. That's all I got. Lucy has gone home to Texas for her grandmother's birthday party in the dead of summer. It's hot. I know that you all have heard me say 100 times on this channel, I really like watching the movie in my head. This one, there was no movie playing in my head. I gave it a 6 out of 10 for atmosphere. This is an adult debut. This author writes YA books. I've not read her YA books. I think that one thing that I can tell with authors who write YA is that sometimes YA shines through in the adult novels, and this one is no different. I feel like there are some YA sprinklings in there, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I just think that it showed. There were some awkward lines that I feel like could have used a little bit of attention, and I'm gonna find the one in particular that really jumped off the page at me like, what the fuck am I reading? Here it is. I'm gonna find it. I highlighted it in this book because I was like, no. And then I went around my office at work and read the line to people because I felt like everybody needed to hear it if I had to see it. This is a line in regards to Savannah and the way that she's described on the podcast. They talk about her on the podcast like she was an angelic blonde angel. That was halfway through the book and I literally almost stopped reading at that point. We could have just went with angelic. We could have went with, they talk about her like she walks around with a halo floating on her head. Angelic blonde angel. 8 out of 10 for the writing. There was nothing wrong with it. It was okay. It just grated on me at some points. I know that a lot of people find that the podcast theme in thrillers is overused and overdone at this point, but I really liked the idea of a podcast within a book. For example, Lisa Jewell's None of This Is True. I really loved the podcast within the book. It is interesting to me, and like I honestly, for my I Read 3 series, want to do a theme where there are podcasts within the books because I think that it's interesting. My issue with this book in particular is that it was so fucking slow. I felt like nothing new was ever coming out as we progressed through the book and we focused more on the budding relationship between Ben and Lucy and we actually focused on the unaliving of Savannah. I was not impressed with the plot in this one. I gave the plot a 6 also. Friends, I tried my hardest to get the audio version of this book so that I could listen along. I had no such luck. I started the book and when I finished the book, literally the day that I finished the book, Libby Loan came through. So I had to pass on to the next person. I was trying. I was hoping that listening would help with my intrigue, but since I didn't get a hold of it, I relied on my own brain and it just dragged on and on and on. And I was struggling to stay invested because why was Ben a love interest? I am so tired of finding thrillers where there is a love interest for the female main character. It does not take a love interest to keep my attention as a thriller reader. I would much rather have had Lucy and Ben develop a friendship. I think that my interest would have been held a lot more were that the case. Men and women can be friends. Intrigue's a 7. I pushed myself through it. I found the podcast bits to be the most interesting part of the story as opposed to Lucy's inner dialogues. We have Lucy there, but then we have bits of the story where it's like, here's the podcast. I liked the parts where the podcasts were present more than hearing Lucy's thoughts. I simply refuse to believe that Lucy went home only because her grandma asked her to. I refuse to believe that Lucy's grandma could be such a manipulative person. She literally goes behind her granddaughter's back. The granddaughter, by the way, who she claims is her favorite, to set her up on a podcast that Lucy has expressed disinterest in over and over again. I also refuse to believe that Lucy just fell into bed and it kept happening because the entire time all we get is he's an arrogant asshole, he's an arrogant asshole. I don't know what to say to that. I don't think that that's realistic at all for, you know, the women that I know in my life that go off. Logic's a 7 out of 10. When I tell you that I genuinely couldn't wait to finish this book, that's not a lie. I couldn't wait to finish this book and I gave my enjoyment a 7 out of 10. So like I said, I can see why people liked this book. I just didn't find that it was one that was for me. Overall, my final score was 48 out of 70, which averages 6.85 and rates 3.5 on my CAWPILE rating scale. I really can't express how genuinely disappointed I am in this book. I was really hyped to read it because I really do love the idea of podcasts in my books. Thought it was going to be right up my alley. It was fine, but I really genuinely think that the whole Ben as a love interest for Lucy ruined the story for me. Again, you guys, this is my fault. I should have known from the too hot to handle or whatever fucking line from the synopsis that that was what was gonna happen, but it's not for me. You'll be able to find this book in my Pango shop, which is linked down below. I'm not going to be keeping it. But with all of that being said, I am gonna go. I have a lot of stuff to do because I have a trip coming up. If you liked this video, please feel free to leave me a like. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on romances in thrillers. Are they necessary? Am I the only one who hates having a love interest in a thriller? Let me know. If you are new here, you can feel free to stick around and subscribe to my channel. This is free for you, fun for me. And with all of that said, I will see you very soon.